I bring you warm greetings on this wonderful edition of FMBN podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. On FMBN podcast, we bring your way the development, activities, events, and happenings at the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. This program comes up every week here on 7FM TV with housing facts, exclusive interviews, commentaries, news, and many more that's bother around affordable housing in Nigeria. I am your host, Patience Okai. Let's quickly go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Get trained as a mortgage expert, smart property development industry player. Get that full option capacity training center for your individual or organizational needs. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria FMBN Training Center, courses are both technical and managerial in mortgage operations, finance, human resources, and ICT, all facilitated by both internal and external mortgage and property industry experts.
We borrow the money from the bank. Every month we're servicing it.
All FMBN courses are approved by the Center for Management Development. Meanwhile, the FMBN Training Center offers 8 training facilities for rentals, 3 seminar rooms of 30 sitting capacities, 2 seminar rooms of 10 and 12 sitting capacities, 2 conference halls of 108 and 78 sitting capacities, an ICT lab of 38 seats, and a 24/7 power supply. Visit the FMBN Center at number J4 Ali Akilu Road, Kaduna. Email training.school@fmbn.gov.ng or call 0901 280 3484.
Welcome back to FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Here on 7FM TV, we showcase the happenings at the FMBN in order to keep the citizens informed with all the workings, products, and services that FMBN offers. Let me ask you this. Are you self-employed and finding it very difficult to own your own home? Worry no more, it's quite easy. Listen to this.
Self-employed individuals, including farmers, market men and women, amongst others, with legitimate businesses, can enroll in the NHF. Even with a monthly earning of 3,000 Naira, you still can contribute 2.5% of the amount to help you get a housing loan after contributing for 6 months.
Okay, I hope that helps. Let's say from you to me is a thank you. And of course, you are welcome. Good to know you are still with us here on 7FM TV and you are watching FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Let's quickly go on a short break, and when we come back, exclusive interviews. Cross your fingers.
To improve transparency and accountability in managing the NHF funds, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has introduced Star 219 hash. Star 219 hash is a new way to know the status of your NHF contribution from anywhere. To use this service, dial Star 219 hash. Select 1 to update your contact detail. Press 2 to check your contribution status in any month up to the last 5 years. You can also use our mortgage calculator and bulletin board by selecting options 5 and 6 respectively. You can access other services by using direct shortcodes like Star 219 Star 3 hash to retrieve your NHF number, Star 219 Star 4 Star 1 hash to check your last 5 transactions, and Star 219 Star 4 Star 2 hash to check your statement of account. No internet connection required, and it is available on all networks. Star 219 hash. Simpler, smarter, faster. Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Everyone deserves a home.
Welcome back to FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria here on 7FM TV. Speaking on Cooperative Housing Development Loan is the Group Head Project Finance, Mr. Salisu Abubakar, at the FMBN in a chat with 7FM TV correspondent Austin Sinum. Let's join the conversation.
The functions of the Project Finance Group.
Okay, thank you very much. The Project Finance Group is charged with origination of construction finance for the bank. The bank is looking at financing mortgages for individual National Housing Fund contributors. But on the other hand, we were also concerned about the supply side of the houses. So the bank thought it well to develop a project finance model where the group is in charge of various loan platforms that will develop houses on behalf of the national housing contributors through developers on lending to NHF contributors.
What informs the bank decision for the sectors?
Okay, thank you very much. The bank is looking at the various segments of the workforce and the society. The NHF Act gives the bank the opportunity to actually collect up to 2.5% of the salaries of all Nigerians that are earning up to 3,000 naira per month. So with that, we understand that there is a segregation between the public sector and the private sector. So, and we see that the private sector forms about 80% of the workforce in Nigeria. So the bank was keen on going into the informal sector in order to tap into that and also provide mortgages for them. So as part of the efforts, the bank is, as part of the strategy of the bank is to have innovative products and services. And one of the products that the bank had developed is the Cooperative Housing Development Loan. This loan is created to target cooperative societies, both formal and informal. Because we have cooperative societies for formal organizations such as the universities, the hospitals, and lots of government agencies. And on the other hand, we have informal cooperative societies that, people that come together, that, that we know that traditionally we call adache and all that. They come together as a cooperative and they're able to access a loan together. And that cooperative now becomes guarantors for the individual cooperators. So that was the motivation behind what the bank had been able to actually produce.
Well, it actually sounds good that with 3,000 naira, the ordinary Nigerian could have access to this loan. So can you share with us how this works?
Okay, the Cooperative Housing Development Loan, it's a loan that is accessed by the cooperative society on behalf of its members. So a cooperative society would, apply to the bank to say we have a parcel of land in a particular location, and we also have our members that are keen and are contributors to the National Housing Fund. They are keen on having their own homes. So with that, the cooperative society has the opportunity to look at, the package where you provide your land, provide your list of off-takers, which are members of your cooperative society, develop your house types to suit your needs. Also, the cost of the houses will be within the affordability of those members in your cooperative society, and you can now send to the bank. Another thing you could do is, if you have the capacity to develop the houses yourself, that means your membership has professionals such as the architects, quantity surveyors, and engineers, you may be able to build it yourself. Alternatively, you are allowed to nominate a developer that is going to build on your behalf. So we have laid down criteria and checklist that you would now come into. You undergo the accreditation process, have all the requisite qualifications, then the bank will be able to grant the cooperative society a loan for its members.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Let's talk about how can a member of a cooperative society assess the loan?
Right. We did discuss that the cooperative society approaches the bank and ask for a loan. So this loan is on behalf of members of its cooperative society. And one of the requirements is that you bring a profile list of off-takers whom are members of your cooperative society. So the cooperative society, let's assume they have 100 members and they want to build either 100 houses or 50 housing units. So as a member of the cooperative society, you key into that program and you provide all your details. And once these houses are being developed, you would be allocated a house in it. And in turn, when this house is allocated to you, and the NHF loan can also be created on that property for you, which you will now pay, considering your years of service and affordability.
All right. So the first thing that an individual will need to do before even becoming eligible for some of this loan is to belong to a cooperative society.
That's right.
Does an individual applying for the loan, for the cooperative national housing development loan, does he need to contribute on a personal stake? Well,
yes and no. He can contribute a personal stake in the event at the end of the day, after the project, the project has been completed and he's been allocated a house, we have probably two broad platforms that he can actually create a mortgage under.
Okay.
The first one is the NHF loan. And the NHF loan, which is the National Housing Fund loan, which he would now be able to get an individual loan through a primary mortgage bank. You are required to put an equity contribution of 10%, so that the bank will now finance the project, the house for you at 90%. Alternatively, we have another loan window, which we call the rent to own. Rent to own is funded at 100%. So at that point, if the member of the cooperative society chooses to go through the rent to own, he would not need to put any down payment. But if it's for NHF loan, he would be required to put 10% equity contribution.
Wow. How much success has the informal sector, a cooperative housing loan, recorded the scheme? How much success have you recorded so far?
Well, I would say it's a tremendous success that we've recorded. The loan is just 3 years old, so we've just started not long ago. But we have been able to start and finish quite a number of projects, and members of cooperative societies have actually gotten access to their homes, and some of them are actually living in it. Quite a number of them are also on site. We are developing them. And one of the beauty of the way our housing scheme works is that we sometimes do them in phases, where you would do a phase one, maybe say 20 units, you get your off-takers, off-take them, they access and they begin to live in the houses while the other houses are still ongoing. To that extent, we have quite a number of projects that have come for loan 1, loan 2, loan 3. In fact, we have one that has come for loan 4, because the members are so keen on having houses and the bank was continuously granting them loans. So that is to say the loan 1 to 3 had already been completed and they've been off-taken. So this is the position of this, and it may interest you to know that we have quite a number of them across the country in virtually all states of the Federation.
All right, that was Group Head Project Finance in a chat with 7FM TV correspondent Austin Sinam. Well done, very detailed. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, FMBN news this week.
What is the name of my grandson?
Suleiman.
That's a good name. May the Almighty preserve him.
Amen.
Now that your family is growing, this is the time for you to start thinking of a house of your own.
Abba, the thought of this has always been on my mind. To build a house now, you need a lot of money, and that is what is holding me back.
Sonny, what you need is a mortgage. NHF mortgage loan. With NHF mortgage loan, you own a house upfront and pay gradually over a long period of time.
Abba, I will go to the FMBN office right away.
Come join us at FMBN and let's shelter Nigeria together.
Good to know you are still with us here on FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria here on 7FM TV, the headline news track of FMBN this week. And that's much we have for you on today's edition. Do join us next week for another edition of FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. You can follow us on all our social media handles displayed on your screen. At Instagram 7TV_NIG, at Twitter 7TV_NIG, at Facebook 7TV Nigeria, at YouTube 7FM-TV, and you can visit our website at www.7fm.tv. Do well to visit www.fmbn.gov.ng for more information. I am your host, Patience Okai. Till I catch you next weekend. Stay blessed. Bye.